Process podcast with myself, Jared Klein. Yes, a new look. Look at I'm fresh shaven. I actually shaved too short. That was my thing. I shaved too short, and now I look like a baby, and my face looks like I can be on Mr. Potato Head. That's why I don't ever shave ever again. So, anyways, welcome back. Welcome back to episode 17. Today we have a guest on that was on really early in the podcast. The fourth guest that was on when I decided to kind of reboot it. Oh, geez, I just paged away. Isaac, do you remember how long? Do you want to give a guess while I page back how long ago that was?
I'm going to say season 1, episode 4.
Like date-wise.
Oh, date-wise.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So you know, truthfully, I don't remember, quite frankly.
Come on, give it a guess. Give it a guess.
Oh, my God. Nah, dude. I can't guess that. I guess it's been so long, really.
It's super far back. August 20th of 2021.
No.
Like a year ago.
My God.
Has it really been that long since we've had a conversation?
So over. It's got to be. I mean, really. I don't think we do not have our conversations that much.
We don't. We just kind of lurk. We lurk. That's what we do.
Yeah, we just kind of lurk at each other's Twitters. And we're just like,
That's
why
exactly
not? That's what we do.
But yeah, Isaac, welcome back. Thank you for taking the time today to come onto the podcast for the second time.
Thank you for inviting me on, honestly.
I'm seeing all your stuff all over Twitter now, and now that, recent events and everything within esports with Halo and EU just being involved, I'm seeing a lot more of your stuff, and that kind of, I was like, you know what, who'd be really good to have on again? Isaac, that'd be awesome to have on. And you were streaming. You started streaming again a couple, like a week ago. Was it a week ago when you streamed again, or a couple weeks ago?
I feel like maybe a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
I started getting back into it a little bit more. I've been wanting to continue on with that because honestly, I feel like a lot of people enjoy it. And, there was at one point where I did a tier list stream of all the esports teams' Halo graphics because I was just like just messing around a little bit. But that was a lot of fun. That got a lot of engagement and people enjoyed that. So I may continue to do stuff like that maybe in the future on Twitch. So
yeah, you should stream more. Your streams are always nice to jump around and kind of sit into. Like, there's not many streams where I'm like, hey, let me just lurk for a little bit. There's not many streams where I like to do that, but maybe it's because I'm a designer. I lurk on like Homescope when he streams. Oh, yeah. I just lurk. Like, me and John are decent friends, but like I could easily just say, hello, how's it going, man? But I just sit back, lurk a little bit, just entertaining to watch.
And John's got a great production on his side of things.
It's very true.
I like a lot what John does and all that. So.
Yeah, he does. You should stream more, man. You should stream more.
Yeah.
All right. So, obviously we told the people what your name is, but so going back to, let's see, audience, if you want to listen to the first episode Isaac and I have had together, it was episode 4 before it was of season 1, episode 4. So go back, listen to that. We won't have Isaac explain his whole story. If you want to hear that, go back now, hear his whole story, know what he's about, and then come back for this current content. So Isaac Waller. That's basically.
Basically. Yeah.
And you are a?
I am one of the graphic designers over at United, organization based in NA, North America. And we're like one of the top, I'm going to say one of the top organizations in Halo right now, in terms of the game itself. And I've worked there for 4 years. It's been pretty much a hell of a journey, honestly. Frankly, it's been a whole thing. It's so hard to believe. Like, it's so hard to believe that I get to work in this industry in esports for as long as I have. Even like during college. I'm still in college, technically. And actually, this was supposed to be my final semester of college. So after this, I'm out of here, basically.
Awesome. Love to hear that.
Yeah, so.
That's awesome. What are you, you're going for graphic design, but do you have any, like a minor or anything?
So my major is in design and media production. I don't really have a minor, particularly. Okay. But it's in design and media production, which consists of graphic design, motion design, 3D, you name it.
All of the above type
of scenario. All of the above. I had to do all of them.
Is it a 4-year?
It's a 4-year technically, yeah. But it's actually, well, technically you know what? It's actually a 2 year, because in some cases it's a 2 year, but like it's more of like it's not necessarily like a bachelor's type of deal, but it's an associate.
Okay.
So it just kind of goes that direction,
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. But yeah, let's talk about esports for a second, right? You've been working with E United for 4 years. There's not, unless you're an upper management, an upper management position, you don't really see especially a graphic designer stay with an organization for that long. Usually there's either a progression or there's like a fallout or whatever it is. So that's really awesome to see that you're like you love working with United. I mean, I've only seen and heard good things from them, but that's really really cool that you've been working with them for 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, I've have like a lot of good relationship with the general manager. Quite a lot. I mean, he's been really awesome with me and basically the entire team. So I mean, it's been generally a great experience overall.
Mm-hmm.
And
Excuse me. How long has United been an organization?
2016.
2016.
I have
was
been
that
with them.
was that with Enemy when Enemy GG stopped?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was never around for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was around during the final couple years of Call of Duty when we had the team down there
With like Pristini
with
and Arcides.
Clayster. Yeah. So a whole thing like that. And I mean, it was the last couple years before the team went off, and
Mm-hmm.
then the Call of Duty franchising started, and it's just been that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the team's changed over time, over the course of time, and then that was kind of leaving me with like being the last designer technically on the team. So yeah, I'm pretty much got all of the above now on my shoulders when it comes to like the creative side of things. And
Well, that's awesome.
But general management, management overall has been great with me, and I mean, they like me there, I guess. So.
Well, I mean, they gotta like it. You've been working with them for 4 years. So.
Yeah. So yeah.
Either that or they're like, Jesus Christ, we can't get rid of this kid. They're not like. I guarantee they're not.
No, they're amazing. They're great people. They're great people.
Good.
So it's just it's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really good thing to look at. Like, hey, like this is a designer, Isaac. You're a designer in the esports industry that's been with this organization for more than sometimes 6 months compared to the industry average with designers. I mean, some designers, it seems like they just want to jump ship when they're not, either like, well, I guess it's completely dependent on what type of organization it is, right?
Yeah,
because in esports, since it's like, I would say compared to other entertainment industries, it's still in its infancy, and it's been around for, esports has been around for more than 20 years, but like legit esports, like full competitiveness with, traditional sports and entertainment, I would say maybe 10 years, maybe, like to where it was competing.
I would agree with that. And honestly, I mean, even esports, like before those years,
mm-hmm.
There was some sort of investment in that sort of field, but up to now it's just gotten much more globalized and much more at a presence where you start to see all these bigger deals and bigger amounts of money being brought into it. And it's just really it's something. I mean, in some cases there's some sort of aspect of it being a spectacle, but it's also like there's also a bunch of other things happening, and maybe not as much of that, but it's still really it's still a scene that I would say is viable depending on the situation where you want to be in. Like if you're working in esports specifically, ideally you want to have some sort of backing, and that's just me personally. But also maybe depending on your overall situation, I would say esports, like I said, like you got to have at least some sort of backing or some sort of just a general financial backbone, because in most cases, like there are going to be orgs where maybe they won't pay X or won't pay Y. And and there's just gonna be those. There's just gonna be those. But it depends. It highly depends.
I feel like the difference between like an E United or like let's just use like overarching terms, right? Amateur and professional, right? The difference between amateur and professional in esports is like night and day. To where amateur and professional in like baseball or football. Like designers, okay, I'll use my scenario as an example, right? Me as a designer, I work for a minor league baseball team, right? That's a professional sports organization that is affiliated with like the top tier, of Major League Baseball, right? So that's completely professional, completely backed, able to pay salary. To where if you get into like that, I feel like if you go into amateur like baseball, they're still technically considered professional, but they're still, the majority of amateur teams within baseball is able to pay the same that I'm getting paid. They still have that financial backing to where if you hop over to esports, you go from a professional organization. Let's not use United as an example. Let's use Optic as an example, right? Professional organization. Maybe I wouldn't really directly compare my organization that I work with to Optic, but like still professional, able to pay full salary, able to support their employees. To where you go to amateur and esports, very, very seldom you get an amateur esports team that's able to pay employee salary, that's able to pay employee benefits, that's able to pay, these types of things that you would get within the traditional entertainment industry. Am I wrong in saying that? I've been out of esports for maybe a year, so I don't know how fast that changed.
So quite frankly, I think amateur organizations, I mean, we're talking much different. Mm-hmm. And that, as you said, night and day. But I would say for amateurs, there's rarely any payment at all. There just is. I mean, there's just no really any real sort of financial backing for the amateur organizations. Now, I think once you have that backing, you're automatically in that sort of field of okay, so these guys are able to do these things, so let's just go ahead and see what we can do with them. Mm-hmm. But it's also dependent on who's running the operation. Mm-hmm. And I think generally when it comes to anyone who's doing any form of esports related thing, like obviously there's got to be some sort of investing behind it. Mm-hmm. And it got to be like, this is the plan, this is how we're going to do this. This is how we're doing all this and stuff. Like, what makes it different by comparison to like this new team in comparison to Optic is basically like who's running the show. And I just think in my opinion, it really depends on who's running any sort of operation. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I guess it all comes down to, like you said, if there is a financial backing to it, right? If there's investors behind it. But then, like, it'd be considered different, like in esports, if you have investors behind it, you're going to be instantly, because one, that investment is going to push into developing professional teams and getting that professional, that professional label.
Yeah, quote unquote professional. Mm-hmm. But like
that professional label.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. To where like automatically you're included in that professional esports organization group,
right?
To where in the real, I guess, in the entertainment and in sports, really, if you can still have investment but be considered amateur, I guess that's where the main, I would say that's where the main difference is,
It all, yeah, but then it's also like how you field teams.
That's true.
And who you find.
Yeah.
In that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And one example is actually an organization in Halo, Kenny Vicario, who runs G1 Gamers First, mm-hmm. is a former NFL player. Yeah. And he wanted to do this sort of thing with an esports venture, and I mean so far it's going really well, and that's awesome, really, to see people like him invest his time into esports, and and I just just those types of backings itself, it just helps the landscape further. Like obviously within our, I mean, and I'll give you another example. NRG. I mean, they have tons of investors. I mean, Shaq being one of them. You know,
Yeah, that's a pretty big
a
investor.
lot of you know, people behind that. You know, and a bunch of other people in sports invest into it as well.
Yeah, I find that really cool to see. Like when I used to work for Rise Nation, they had like 2 NFL guys as like their main, owners. They were both
They still do. They still do, I think.
Is like Roger Saffold one of them?
Yes.
Does that ring a bell? Yeah, okay. So, yeah, like those types of guys, like, I mean, they were what? I mean, they were like guys coming up like us, playing video games when they're younger, and then all of a sudden they're able to dive back into and supply monetary investment into the thing that they loved. And I think like I follow a guy, he was like a practice squad quarterback for the Packers, but his name is Kurt Benkert. He's with Space Station,
Yes.
So it's like I feel like that is recurring more and more and more. Honestly,
Agreed.
I think as our generation grows up and gets to become those professional players to where they have the financial means to dive back into something that they loved. I think the more that happens, because, I mean, if they're invested in it, right? I mean, you and I don't want to lose video games, but who knows when we're 35, maybe we'll grow out of video games, but they're going to be invested into it. They're going to have money into it. They're not going to grow out of video games. That's how this industry is going to explode, because the generation that we're at, and maybe the generation in front of us, the 35-year-old, 40-year-olds that used to be there, they're going to keep growing with it. They're going to keep investing back into it because they enjoy it. And then that's just naturally going to grow the industry. But like, exactly. Yeah, like it was happening way back when I worked with Rise. I mean, do you know Jordan? Oh, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Legge. Jordan Ledge.
I think I do. Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
He used to work, so he actually used to work with United, I think, before you got to United. Wait.
Oh, yeah, Jordan. Yeah.
Let me.
I'm very familiar. Jordan and I sometimes chat every now and then.
Oh, okay. So you do know him.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So I don't know where I was going with that. I guess to. Yeah, what was I talking about before? Because I just typed in his name and it wasn't, so I completely lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I think it was something different. You might have might say something else, but
yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I mean, I know we used to work together in Rise back when we started, back when I like actually got into esports and everything.
Yeah,
I don't know where that started or where that was going. Maybe I just thought of him. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, hey, why not?
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, yeah, let's segue. Nice. I lost my train of thought. Let's just segue anyways.
No problem. No problem.
So, yeah, let's get into, I mean, recently United, I mean, like you said earlier, they've been into Halo. Last year when Infinite, came out and kind of gave that rebirth to Halo. We talked about HCS Raleigh a little bit with your project that involved that. You and Ryan worked on that. And then your recent project that you came out with for HCS Orlando, I thought it turned out amazing. You did a really good job on that. Kudos to you, and to whoever helped you. I don't know if anyone helped you or not.
I actually, there was someone involved who did an excellent job.
Awesome.
And he did all the 3D related renders and stuff like that. So
awesome.
It was all of that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, kudos to you guys. You guys did a really good job on that. I'm actually gonna pull that up here. Just so I can look at that. I'm gonna pull up your Behance project actually, because that's where I got a refresher from it today. But I guess let's talk about that. Let's talk about developing creative for those events. So like, let's just use Orlando since it was just last weekend, right? Let's just use that.
Yeah.
Let's use that as the talking point here. When you started ideating for the creative for the event to have it, be covered online and everything, what were you considering with your team? What was like the conversations you guys were having?
So we were going off, and I guess a general way of looking at it for us was, when we were working on this, we thought about a recent collaboration with HCS, which is pretty much announced by now. I'm sure. Yeah, it is. It's basically a merch collab. So the merch collab that we did was Grunt's best day ever. It's basically illustrated design, and I was able to collaborate on, and honestly, it turned out really good. I think we turned out awesome, and we working on that. So we wanted to see if we can play off that shirt a little bit and try to get like a general sort of vibe from that shirt, and still put it on top, like, and still like make like, so it kind of like leads into that. Because it was going to be announced during the event, which it is, and and we wanted to go that direction. Now, I guess initially we were thinking like going more towards that, but then we thought maybe we might be better to go off something a little bit different, a little weird, I guess you can say. You want to go a little bit like weird, a little bit, but not like, I would say, more direct. But like we wanted to feel flashy, basically. I mean, it was Orlando. It was the last major before Worlds, which is coming up, and we wanted it to stand out from amongst the crowd, and we really wanted to go for a bold, vibrant approach. One way that obviously was like with the colors, like you get a little mixture of greens and oranges and blues, but we wanted to feel like Orlando, essentially, like Orlando, Florida. We wanted to feel like fun and also vibrant at the same time, and that's what we wanted to go with. Now, initially, I didn't know what that was going to look like. I had to kind of look at it myself. I'm like, okay, maybe it might be, like, obviously, it turned out I had to come down to, like, a mood boarding type of sessions, a lot of just back and forth into, like, okay, is this going to work or is that going to work? And a lot of it was just, like, trial and error. It just is. It just is all is just trial and error every single time. It just is. And even though there was a lot of referencing and stuff like that to go involved, there's still just a lot of like, where are things going to go? How are things going to be composed? And that's just where that kind of stood out from there. So, and then I asked Tatum, who worked on the 3D renders, I asked him, like, why don't we get a couple of renders and see what we can do? And he put some together, some models that we have, and he had an abundance of library of all this stuff, and I think it's really cool that he has that. It worked out really. It's awesome, and he was able to compose a few renders, and I was able to put them into the project. And after months, a lot of iterations later, it turned out really nice. So I will say it turned out probably. And I've had people tell me, I'm like, like, this is one of your best projects by far, and I'm like, and part of me is like, I really don't want to take all the credit, because the renders really, I think, carried a lot of the project for me. And so Tatum really did an excellent job on that. I think it's both of our project. I would say for that.
So, sorry, I'm just gonna delay here for a sec, because I'm putting the description, the link to the project in the description of the podcast here, just because I want, like, as we reference it, I want people to be able to go back there. But anyways, so that's what I was doing. But yeah, looking at the project now, like, I think the things that you talked about, you wanting to, I mean, when you think of Orlando, you think, you think of sunny because it's Florida, right?
Right. But then also think about the rides and stuff like that. So I want to incorporate a few elements into that to make it kind of glue together a little bit, to get that general idea, because it also applies into the social channels, where we kind of played off of that a little bit, where like, you want to go for a ride with us on our Orlando journey, and that's just what we did. That's what we did for that.
So one thing that I love about this project is the color variation. Like, I mean, you come out hot with this yellow, orange, and then along with this teal green that you use as well. If I want to, either seafoam, maybe. I think seafoam is a little closer to green than blue.
I would say the seafoam's pretty close there.
Okay. Yeah. So seafoam. We'll use seafoam. So yeah, you use that with the yellow variation, and then these pinks and blues and greens that you use with the rides and everything as well. And then you switch it over to this blue background, complete different contrast of everything, which I loved seeing. I loved seeing that on the timeline whenever I saw it, because it gave a good switch. Like, you're able to see that you were still at this event, that this was still being covered, but you're also getting, a little bit different, a different feel, a little bit like fresh look at it, like not just that yellow the whole time. I think that's awesome. I don't think that's considered enough within esports. I think it's just, okay, develop a template. We'll use this over and over and over and over and over again, right?
And that's been a problem that we've had, for a little bit. I feel like as soon as people just make the template, they don't change it up. They don't make it different.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually mid-event, I was like, let's switch it to a landscape composition for a couple of these graphics. Let's just switch it to like 1080p. So I was like, let's do that, and so it's not like totally bland every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did with a couple of posts, and those turned out good, of course. And so we did that as a little bit of an extra, just to make it feel like, okay, this is still the same event, still the same elements used, just composed differently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what we wanted to go for.
So how much, when considering something like this, you don't have to use your Orlando graphics package experience for this answer. When considering developing a package like this, how much do you aim to keep, like, United, red, white, and blue, right? And they're, usually the things that you guys come out with are pretty clean. Not a lot of texture, at least in stuff that I've seen. Maybe recently you changed up your like organization look, but usually, like when I remember United, there wasn't a lot of texture. There was a lot of red, white, and blue, nice, clean, everything. And then now switching over to some textures, using different depth of field and everything. How much of your organization branding, when you look at the organization United style guide, how much is that considered when developing these graphics packages for different events?
It's not considered as much as you might think, and I actually think
I feel like that was going to be the answer.
And the reason I say that is because we typically use the style guide we use only for more generic related stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays. We just don't we like to have fun. We like to really stretch what we would normally people would do. Would be like, oh, it's United, red, white, and blue, as you said. And but then we change it much differently to where it's not exact, but it's still United. It still has the logo. It still has that. And we see that a lot with other organizations. I think Liquid does this really well. Team Liquid does a really good job in changing and switching a lot of things up, and going in their own direction with their designs in terms of the logo, and making it be it's still Team Liquid. You still see their logo, but they change the overall environment. They change a lot of different things. And I see that a lot with them, and they do a great job with that. And that's just one of the organizations that I guess, kind of look at. I'm like, yeah, so they're doing it right, and so it's just there. And then Optic is another one I think does switch it up a lot as well. Now I think we're seeing a lot more with green still, but
I mean, you gotta have green.
You gotta have green with Optic. You can't really change that. So it's just kind of comes down to you're still using your brand color, but you're still switching up everything about the design. It still has Optic in it. It's just what it is.
I think within esports, I think that's a really great thing to see, especially now with these the bigger organizations that are going to these LANs consistently, and developing the LAN, developing the LAN experience for esports, the in-person experience for esports. You're seeing a lot on their social platforms, the difference and adaptation of their creative look when, in theming, when they go to these events, to keep those online fans and everyone, up to speed with what the organization's doing and everything, and, that type of thing. Have you ever had a situation? This is a question I just thought of. Have you ever had a situation where okay, there's a Halo event, using these as examples, right? As placeholders. There's a Halo event. Oh, and we have Rocket League on the same weekend. Has there ever been something like that, even in the past?
There has been. There's been times where we had to make things for one event and then move on to another event at the same time. There's just gonna be those times where that's gonna happen, and it's just like also like the like Halo World the Worlds event is also around the time, I would say shortly later, I believe, is PGC. So PUBG Worlds is all that's happening after that. And it's like back-to-back Worlds events. I mean, that's like...
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Now PUBG it's in Dubai. So that's like a huge level there. Like Dubai.
You're going to be... Your sleep schedule is going to be completely whacked out.
Well, I'm not actually going there. I'm not actually going to Dubai.
I know, no, but I'm saying like for you to have to organize coverage and make these graphics.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be that way, But,
You're gonna be up at like 2 a.m. being able to watch the PUBG team and be able to push these graphics out, or just have your phone on Ring or whatever. When you get a DM, hey Isaac, we got to get this graphic out. You wake up quick, switch the numbers.
Yeah, I actually think this time, like, there's times where we get stuff done even prior to everything, and it just usually that's just probably what's going to be the case here.
You just make like 10 graphics for different scores, different placements, and
it's not even like scores. It's like PUBG is all about placement. You can have like a whole placement thing going on and everything, and I think this might be a lot easier than like at least right now, like it's a lot easier than like say an international event for Halo, where or I'm only using Halo as an example, but like with different scores and stuff like that, like you're probably making like over hundreds of scorecards at that point with all the teams that compete at these types of things. But like I would say if you're like with a game type like PUBG, you're not like you're only really worried about placements and things and for marketing and stuff like that. So that's just the way
that's
that
true.
I see it.
That's true.
There's
a lot less of like, there's a lot less variables you have to consider when when having coverage for a PUBG event.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just different across all the different types of games.
For sure. Yeah. So since we're talking about like those two different types of games, when developing creative, like, I mean, we kind of just answered this potentially because you were developing creative for Orlando. You said pretty much screw the style guide that we have for corporate stuff. Let's just go all out,
Yeah.
So when developing creative for, game to game, I mean, I would guess it's pretty similar to how you developed creative for the Halo event, right? It's, you consider place, you consider game, obviously, what kind of features are in the game.
Yeah, we consider all the factors, it just kind of comes down to like, so this game has this and that. What do competitive people like? Like, what do like the audience of that like? What kind of things can we incorporate to maximize the engagement of the posts, and stuff like that. That's the kinds of things we look into.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how much do you consider audience?
We consider them very highly. We consider it very highly when it comes to like the gaming type of atmosphere, because it's like, if it's not appealing to them, we usually need to try something else. And it's just like, it's just kind of what we go for. Again, trial and error, but at the same time, you gotta consider the audience of that game. So
is there always consideration for? I mean, this may be a dumb question, but is there always consideration from your side of things for organization growth and appeal to different audiences when doing these graphics? Or do you find yourself just being like, oh, our audience is going to be able to see this fine, like they'll understand this, we'll just move on?
I think we consider both audiences or both perspectives, because it just comes down to like, okay, like obviously we want to make sure our fans like it. But then you have to like go into another area where you're like, okay, like does the PUBG fan base like, or the Halo fan base like this? And like that's just kind of like, or sometimes we kind of step out of the boundary a little bit and just kind of think about like, okay, we might want to try this and see if they like it, because sometimes we kind of need to like step out of the box, like as I did, with Orlando. Like nobody, like I've seen comments for the stuff and like, and they're like this is so cool, but like it's much different than what I was expecting, but it's still really cool, because that's just kind of where, and I've seen like a lot of other comments where like, oh, ACS stuff like was always needed to be more vibrant and colorful, and like it was always needing that type of touch, and that really I mean that's just a positive overall, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, we kind of laid out like what we wanted to talk about a little bit earlier, about the podcast, and I feel like we've hit the main things that we wanted to talk about. We wanted to talk about, I mean, obviously esports as a whole. I mean, I always like having the conversations about esports and feasibility of like esports as a industry. And I like reiterating that topic because I think esports is looked I wouldn't say down, but I guess it's sometimes taken for granted, when it comes to looking for careers in certain industries everything.
That's just how it's going to be all the time. I think for anything, it's just going to be that way. Like they don't know the full story until you're into it. And it's just, what it is there. And, I'm not suggesting that, people, dive into it immediately. I mean, that's their choice, But again, I enjoy it, and obviously it comes down to the situation of the individual, and it really is, for me at least, a blast, and it's awesome to be a part of it for me.
Yeah, I love like still being in contact with people that work within it. I posted this on Twitter a while ago, but like I need to get back into esports. I'm watching a lot more. I am definitely consuming a lot more competitive gaming and everything like that because it's just that's what I like grew up doing. Like, yeah, I played sports. Who didn't play sports or who didn't try to play sports?
I watch sports all the time.
Like that's so like sometimes it's like shit. I don't want to watch football. I don't want to watch baseball. Like, give me some fucking Halo or give me some like Apex.
I want to watch Valorant.
Yeah,
like, Valorant's one up there too.
Like
Valorant, League
sometimes
of Legends.
it's just so entertaining. Getting back to the roots, man.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that a lot of people like, especially if they enjoy it. Like, I mean, they want to consume it. They want to get into it, and it's also like a lot of just I mean, really, it's just a lot of fun to watch, especially like how the competitive players themselves, like the players themselves are just I mean, really, I mean, there's all these personality and everything's it's just so good, I enjoy it.
Yeah, I can't, sometimes I just can't get enough. Like I get in these like almost tunnel vision on like certain games. Like I feel like this happens with everyone. Like you enjoy playing one game, so like let's say I'm like I mean I love playing Apex right now. Like I played it for the past 2 days and I'm hitting it off. So like today at work, when I had a little bit of downtime, I pulled up like Nick Merckx' stream. He was playing Apex. I pulled up, some YouTube videos of Apex. Like sometimes I get in these like tunnel visions of this game's amazing. Okay, that game sucks now. Let me go to Valorant. And it just sparks everything again, and it's so nice.
I know that's the fun part about it though. Like like you get to like just to go into like all these other different games. Like for me, it's just like surprisingly enough, it's NBA 2K. Like
2K.
I am a 2K guy. I play 2K a lot. Now, quite frankly, I'm like more into the sports games than I am the other stuff, but even then it's like, I prefer like if our team's playing, I'm there. But also like a lot of other stuff. But even I'm still into those games. It's just 2K's pretty much been my one of my only games I've really enjoyed.
Really?
For a long time. Yeah, and a lot of people are like, "Wait a minute, really? That's what you like?" I like it. I think it's I play it a lot. I'm like super into it, where I'm like I'm gaining all levels. Like I'm like level 26 right now. Could be level 30 at some point. Level 31. I could be up there, But everyone's trying to reach level 40. No, it's just like
I can't remember the last time I played like 2K.
The rep system's difficult now.
Really?
Like, it's not actually no, it's not difficult at all. But like it's still like it used to be much harder than it should be. But
yeah, okay, all right. Well, yeah, I think we hit on everything that we wanted to talk about amazingly today. I think we talked about everything really well. The viewers are going to have really good information that honestly, the viewers of this podcast, this is going to be different. I mean, we haven't had an esports guy on since you were on before. Well, actually, no. I'm gonna have to pull it up again. I'm almost positive we had another esports designer on.
I might have to watch it then.
Way back. It's gonna be like back when like you were on again.
I'm definitely gonna have to watch this one once in a while.
I'm looking. Hayden Colwell. So he was
okay.
For KC.
He was at KCP. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 15. So he was 11 episodes after you.
Wow. My gosh.
And Mason Mulcahy.
Mason, my guy.
I think he goes like Mason M Designs, I want to say.
He goes by Mason M.
Yeah.
Mason.
So he was on 11. So actually we've had 3.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we've had 3. I got to get more. Do you have any recommendations?
Ooh. You're going to have to look into my guy, Ben Seymour.
Oh, I had him on, actually.
Oh, you did?
I think I had Ben on.
I think you did. Right?
No, I did. I know for a fact. Yes, I did.
Okay, so four esports designers. How about that? 4. Yep.
We'll talk after this. I'll get recommendations after we stop recording. I'll get some recommendations from you. All right. Well, anyways, guys. Listeners. Sorry we kind of rambled for the rest of the podcast, but this has been episode 17. Really appreciate you guys coming out here and listening. I know you guys got a lot of great information about esports today, and in the future, more episodes in the future. You will be hearing from a lot more esports personalities, hopefully, on the design side of things. So, thank you for coming out and listening today. Thank you, Isaac, for taking the time to be on here today. And yeah, like I always say, make sure you tell someone that you love them today. All right, we will see you in episode 18. Take it easy.